Former Finance Minister Ken Ofori Atta has began pursuing permanent residency in the United States. His lawyers have confirmed to US-based outlet. Now, Ken Ofori Atta, who faces corruption-related charges in Ghana, is currently being held in a detention facility operated by US Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Virginia after his arrest in January for overstaying his visa. His lawyers argue he may not receive a fair trial in Ghana. Joining us now is lawyer Frank Davis, a member of the legal team representing the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori Atta. Counsel, thank you for joining us. Good evening to you. Let's start with this. And first things first, if we're looking at the trajectory of the case, you're representing the former Finance Minister. Talk to us about this. So there is confirmation of this application for permanent residency.
Good evening to your cherished listeners and esteemed viewers. In the first place, that publication, whatever you have read, is what is coming from Ken's lawyers in the United States, I gather. Is that the case?
That's the case, Counsel.
Okay. So I think it will be best placed to leave the American lawyers to deal with that matter, because the decision to come to Ghana is a personal one. It's not legal. The decision, if even Ken has made up his mind to seek permanent residency status in America, is a personal decision. It's not a legal one. So I think the American lawyers should be allowed to deal with that matter. We are dealing with the matter as it unfolds in Ghana. But let me just take the scene. You know, when this red notice alert was flying high by the office of the special prosecutor, at the end of the day, the Commission for the Control of Interpol Files came out with a very definitive decision. It was to the effect that they thought all that books was one of a predominantly political character. I believe you are aware. And that is why Ken's name was pulled down and it was deleted from all Interpol files and systems information. They said the challenge data that the National Central Bureau of Interpol Ghana presented did not meet with Interpol's rules, regulations, and constitution. And it was of a predominantly political nature. I'm quoting them verbatim, not my words. So, I mean, that should inform all of us. And I think I'll pass no other comment than what I've said.
So, Counsel, are all of these informing what your client is seeking for in the United States at the moment?
I have told you that the decision to seek permanent residency in the United States is a personal one. It's not a legal decision. So let us leave that route for the American lawyers and the American courts to determine. All right? In any event, I think the government of Ghana has put in an extradition request.
True.
And if I understand what that means, there sure is going to be extradition proceedings. And pursuant to those proceedings, a decision will be made one way or the other, whether Ken should be deported from the United States or he should be allowed to remain. All I know is that he has applied for an adjustment of his immigration status. So let's just wait for what would come out of those proceedings. So I believe that there is, I don't think there is anything so worrying about what is going on. There's an extradition request, so let us see through that process.
Right. Counsel, there's still this concern that lingers, that your client is concerned over the independence of the Ghanaian judiciary and claims of a political witch hunt. My question to you on this will be that What is fueling the concern of the lack of independence of the judiciary? Is it the utterances or the actions of some key stakeholders in the matter?
I am a trained lawyer, and it does not lie in my mouth. It does not sit in my place to round down the judiciary, okay? As to whether the judiciary is independent or not. It's a matter that you also have to judge. Don't let it come out of my mouth. I don't think that it is really necessary for me to pass any judgment on the judiciary. But when things happen and journalists like yourself refuse to talk about them, it creates problems. We're all in this country, okay? Ken had not been charged with one single offense. He had not been charged. Listen to me carefully. He had not been charged with one single offense. Okay, the office of the Assistant Prosecutor rushes to court with this red notice alert whatever, without even having charged Ken with a single offense or not having taken any caution statement, charge statement, anything at all from him. And the office of the Assistant Prosecutor rushes to court and then comes out flagging a red notice alert on Ken, declared him a fugitive from justice. He did not obtain that warrant or whatever he got from the Makola market. He went to the law court. You are all in this country, generally. You said nothing. At the end of the day, we were embarrassed by the Commission for the Control of Interpol Files, because whatever the office of the Special Prosecutor did at the end of the day, it does meet with Interpol's rules, regulations, and constitutions. That should be a concern for all of us as Ghanaians. And I rather hope that you journalists will trumpet that one. Okay, as to whether the judiciary is independent or not should be your own guardian, not mine.
Right.
But we're in this country. The office of the Special Prosecutor did not go to the Makola market. He went to court.
My last question to you on the subject matter will be this, that what do you say to those who insist that, I mean, like you've mentioned, Mr. Ofori Atta has not been charged and that he should just come to the country, face the law. If he is innocent, he walks a free man, and that all he's doing right now is he's attempting to evade accountability. What would be your response to that?
Listen to me once again and listen to me carefully. You know, when people pass those other loose generalization of statements, I become very offended. Did Ken leave this country without notice? Was the office of the Special Prosecutor not in this country when Ken left?
He was. He indeed notified the chief of staff.
Was Kenneth not in this country? Was Kisei Jabe not in this country? Or for that matter, the office of the Special Prosecutor not in this country when Ken left the country with notice to the former chief of staff and the present chief of staff? Was he not in this country? Now, if Kisei Jabe or that office had anything at all that they thought they were investigating against Ken, they couldn't do it at that time. They couldn't do it at that time because what? They were that? Is that what they're saying? In any event, when Ken left and this matter unfolded, he tried through the team of lawyers to make himself available for interrogation with legally permissible means. The office of the Special Prosecutor didn't want to have anything to do with it. He was insisting on an in-person interview with Kennedy Agyapong, whether he wanted to dance with him, whether he wanted to eat with him, whether he wanted to play football with him, only God knows. But Kenneth made himself available through legally permissible means.
Right.
Rebuffed those means. So what again do you expect him to do? At that time, he had not been charged with any offense.
Counsel,
and you mean if he has to go and seek medical treatment, he shouldn't go?
Thank you.
Is that what you're saying?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time with us. Lawyer Frank Davis, he is a legal team member of the Ken Ofori Atta legal team.
Yes, show that he should be put back. So the context is that currently there is, let's call it, legal proceedings at Interpol. So they have a unit responsible for this. So it's practically like a court on its own. So OSP or let's say Ofori Atta against OSP. So you file, the Ofori Atta is complaining that there's no basis to have him on the Interpol red alert, blah, blah, blah. Then OSP says, no, there is. They say, okay, each of you file your case. They've done, then there are responses. But if you read the procedure, it's practical. There's going to be a decision. So judicial, well, okay, it's administrative, since it's not a court. Some administrative proceedings in there. So they'll go through each part to argue their case, present what evidence they have. Then at the end of the day, the committee would come to a decision on it. So if they come to a decision that, yes, Ofori Atta's name should be fully restored, it will be done. If they come to a decision that there is no basis, then his name will be taken up. So really, and when I say his name will be taken up, let me correct this, because OSP is very particular about it. It's not as if his name is totally off the system. As what it means that right now is restricted. You and I can't see it as Ofori Atta. But the value is the same. Basic thing is that he's no longer a person that if any Interpol member saw today, they can arrest. That's the real point. Because once he remained on the list, and when we say Interpol, so Interpol is what? Police organizations around the world. So the countries that have joined, over 100, right? So that means that once he's on the red notice alert, it means that if he was found in Togo, they could arrest him. If he was found in the US, they could arrest him. So now with what has happened with this decision to restrict him, so it means that if they found him today, they will not arrest him. That's the most important thing.
I see.
Yes.
So if he is seen today,
yes,
to the extent that
he's been removed, restricted. We are using effective communication. The key thing is, what is the effect of what has been done? The main effect is that he will not be arrested. So
if he's seen today?
Yes. So whether you call it removal or what do you call it, restriction, the key thing is that would he be arrested today if he's found? No. And now let's situate this. So it's not really about the Interpol red notice. So what it does is to like blacklisting. Okay, so it's something, there's some effect in a blacklisting. But if we look at what Ghanaians have been looking for, which is that he must come back to Ghana, that one is a long shot. Long shot because even if he's arrested today, he will not be automatically brought to Ghana today or tomorrow. No. You see the extradition that the Attorney General is working on, that is what has to be granted. You know, they will do it, send it to the U.S. government. Then the U.S. government will go through it, the Home Department, blah, blah, they look at it. Then they will go to court. So eventually there will be court proceedings in the U.S. because Ofori Atta will contest his return to Ghana, right? And so it's not today or tomorrow. And you see why every day I'm pained and I keep saying that. So the man who allowed Ofori Atta to escape, that's Kwaku Annan, has to leave the office immediately because he's fueling the suspicion that they colluded. Let me tell you something. You know how this world works? Because people want justice in this case. I've been given credible information that all this while in January, when we started saying that, look, if Ofori Atta is not coming, then let's take steps to do trial in absentia so that we can confiscate his properties, etc. And it wasn't done, they delayed. It turns out that in the interim, Ofori Atta is trying to get permanent residence in the U.S.
You got this information from where?
Oh, you know, this work we do, if I had to disclose all my sources would dry up.
You say it's credible.
Yes, credible. Yeah, but I have to keep citizen journalism. I have the right to keep the. So right now, the key thing is that, and that's why it's even irking me more. So as OSP was doing kukwasa, Ofori Atta through one of his sons has applied for him to get permanent residence in the U.S.
I see. And
so
this,
that complicates his return.
I see. This you are able to prove. Sorry? You're able to prove because this is from a credible source.
Yes.
So you have enough information to prove that indeed he has applied to get permanent.
Oh no, they will release it. But I look at where the source is coming from. I believed it. And of course, if push comes to shove, we'll go into the U.S. system. That at least is there. This okay? We'll do a request, RTI request to the Homeland Security and the Home Department in the U.S. So the key thing is that as we're here from January, we started asking for trial in absentia. OSP came and were giving us ridiculous ludicrous answers that no, you cannot do trial in absentia. 11 months, only to do a U-turn. So then if it was a suspicion, the analysts are like, oh, so when they deny trial in absentia, so that it gives Ofori Atta enough opportunity to get permanent residence.
They're going to court on Monday.
Yes.
The fugitives, as has been described, they are not in the country, obviously. So the trial is going to go on.
Yes.
What's going to happen on Monday is they're going to hear them.
Yes, but that
will be in the absence of Ken Ofori Atta. Does that amount to a trial in absentia?
Yes, the trial is, let's say this, before the trial in absentia will be done, Article 19, Clause 3 requires that the OSP will prove to the court that Ofori Atta has been notified, the very thing we have been talking about. As to how they do the notification, Monday will come, then we'll see. If they've done it, fine. But if they've not, then it means that for Ofori Atta and Asare, his chef de cabinet, or is it chief de cabinet, his PA, let's use the simple term, his PA, the trial for them will not go on if there is no proof, cogent proof that they've been notified. Because let's read 19 clause 3. It says that he has to be notified. So if the accused is notified of the trial and he doesn't come, then that's when the court will go on. But please, that technical term, well, in this case, I would say technical because it's not cheap. Notification, that's what OSP has to prove to the court. And this is what lawyer Tadiosori had been saying from day one. You know, Tadiosori was one of the first to say, let's do trial in absentia. In January, when this matter came, if you check the records, I think for me, in reading commentary on this matter, lawyer Tadiosori was the first to ask for trial in absentia. Then later, all of us joined. Me, initially, we thought, oh, he would come. And, but it turned out that at least some of us converted far earlier and joined Tadiosori in asking for trial in absentia. And OSP kept stonewalling, whilst Ofori Atta is taking steps to get better residence in the US so that his coming here will be more complex. And don't forget that he has huge investments in the US. Huge investment. And the American government will not lightly throw him under the bus. So you have to be very careful. This is a political decision. Look, at a point, after Kwabena Agyapong is left, later in our series to get justice, we may have to organize a demonstration to go to the US embassy and present a petition. That's what we have to do. We have to mobilize Ghanaians after Kwabena Agyapong is left, because that's the first point. We can't trust Kwabena Agyapong to do this work because he saw Ofori Atta leave. He saw the letter. I'm happy Professor Jampo is here. Please, Mr. Okansi, when he gets to his side, let him explain the political theory of the state. How, when I keep saying, when I quote the constitutional provisions and I show that under the constitution, Kwabena Agyapong had the mandatory duty to inform Ghanaians once he saw Ofori Atta was leaving, and he alleges that the other.
So you expect that you address a press conference?
Exactly. So I want Professor Jampo from the governance experts to come. No, there's also governance. Let all the governance experts weigh in. Then we'll see that it's a serious constitutional matter.
You see, in this instance, I'll come to you. Okay. I'm sorry. But his lawyers are saying that he has not been formally served.
So that's what we said on Monday. We'll hear that. So let me just read it. That's why I said cogent evidence, how he's been served. 19.3, just for those who want to hear the constitutional words, then we'll move on. It says, the trial of a person charged with a criminal offense shall take place in his presence unless A, he refuses to appear before the court for the trial to be conducted in his presence after he has been duly notified of the trial. So after he has been duly notified. So Monday we'll see, maybe if OSP did it and has not told us yet, well, Monday we'll see. You see, but the key point we're making is that the extradition itself, look, it's not a joke. It's a whole process. That's how come I said after we get Kwabena Agyapong out, we'll have to mobilize Ghanaians. Once the US government understands that citizens understand what's going on, that extradition is political, maybe it will help them to bring Ofori Atta. But if we leave it to TV analysis, they also gauge public opinion. If a few experts come and sit here and say extradition, and lots of our citizens are not bothered, it won't happen today. But when we mass up, a lawful demonstration quietly to the U.S. Embassy and present a petition that we want the American government to bring down Ofori Atta, it would help.
So that extradition process is what I reserve that for lawyer Christian Mamhesi.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.